We live in a world of headlines, official reports, and stories we're told to believe. But in the shadows of Reddit, darker versions of reality take shape. Theories that twist history, science, even the fabric of our daily lives. Some are dismissed as paranoia, others feel uncomfortably close to the truth. Together, they form a catalog of the most disturbing conspiracies you'll never forget. Epstein as a smokescreen for Pizzagate. It's July 2019. News breaks that Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire financier, has been arrested. Cameras swarm the courthouse. Headlines explode across every outlet. The world suddenly has a villain to point at, a man accused of running a sex trafficking ring involving underage girls. But on Reddit, a darker theory spreads. What if Epstein wasn't the main story at all? What if his arrest was carefully staged, not to expose the truth, but to bury it? The theory begins years earlier, in 2016. Hacked emails from John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, are dumped online. Strange phrases appear again and again. Pizza, hot dog, cheese. To most people, nonsense. But conspiracy forums argue they're code words for children. They connect the dots to Comet Ping Pong, a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant. Pizzagate is born. Then suddenly Epstein enters the picture, a real trafficker, linked to politicians, royals, and billionaires. His island becomes the symbol of elite corruption. But instead of asking the bigger questions, who else was involved? How deep does this go? The media locks on to one man. Epstein becomes the scapegoat, the face of the scandal. And then, just as quickly as it began, he's gone. Dead in his cell. No testimony, no names, no network exposed. To believers, this was the plan all along. Use Epstein as a pressure valve. Give the public a monster they could see while protecting the monsters they couldn't. Pizzagate is dismissed as fake news. Epstein is the story. And when he dies, so does the last spark of curiosity. In this telling, Epstein wasn't justice. He was cover, a smokescreen to keep the world from staring too long into the abyss. The nightly memory wipe. It's 3 a.m. A quiet bedroom, curtains drawn. The only sound is steady breathing. A man lies still, deep in sleep. But according to one of Reddit's darkest theories, this isn't rest, it's extraction. They say that every night when you drift off, something happens that you never remember. Your consciousness, your thoughts, your memories, your awareness is pulled out of your body. Invisible hands carrying you across an unseen divide. Where do you go? Into a clone, a perfect replica of you, stored inside a secret facility. And that's when the horror begins. The clone isn't sleeping, it's awake, it's screaming. Torture, experiments, rituals. The details vary, but the theme is always the same. Suffering. Hours of it. Meanwhile, your real body lies untouched, blissfully unaware. By morning, the process reverses. Your consciousness is reinserted into your body. But before you wake, they wipe the slate clean. A perfect erasure. To you, it feels like just another night's sleep. But sometimes it glitches. A nightmare that feels too real. The crushing weight of sleep paralysis. The shadowy figure at the foot of your bed. Signs, believers say, that the wipe didn't fully take. How is it done? The theories range from sound frequencies, to satellites, to chemical control. Some whisper about government programs, others about private labs or hidden elites. And the scariest part isn't just the suffering, it's the repetition. Every night, again and again. Tortured, erased, reset. You wake up tired, anxious, never knowing why. Maybe it wasn't bad sleep. Maybe it was the facility. In this theory, sleep isn't rest, it's captivity. Squid Game is real. It's a quiet night on a private island. No maps show it. No planes fly over it. But according to one of Reddit's most disturbing theories, this is where the real Squid Game begins. The Netflix show, they say, wasn't just a drama. It was disclosure. Fiction used to hide fact. A mirror of something the elite have been doing for years. Picture this. Hundreds of people in debt, the homeless, the forgotten. They're promised money, a chance to escape their misery. They accept. They're flown in under fake names, stripped of their pasts. And then the games begin. The masks, the circles, triangles, squares. The theory claims these aren't just props. They're symbols borrowed directly from reality. Codes for rank and obedience inside these hidden tournaments. The guards play their roles faceless and replaceable. The players compete, knowing only one thing: losing means death. For the rich who watch, it's entertainment, a live-action spectacle of control. They place bets, sip drinks, and laugh as lives are ended with precision. But it's not just about pleasure, it's about research. How far can desperation push someone? How quickly will people turn on each other? Who will kill to survive? Believers point to how detailed the show felt, how familiar, too much like a confession. They say it was allowed to be made because it hides in plain sight. People see it as fiction, never realizing it could be a clue. And if that's true, then Squid Game isn't a warning. It's a window, a glimpse into a world where human life is just another game, played, wagered, and discarded by those powerful enough to treat death as entertainment. Flight 93 was shot down. It's the morning of September 11th, 2001. 4 planes have been hijacked. 3 already hit their targets. 1 remains, United Airlines Flight 93. The official story is well known. Passengers, realizing what was happening, fought back. The plane never reached its destination. It crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. A tragedy, yes, but also a story of bravery. But according to one of Reddit's darkest theories, that's not what really happened. The theory says the U.S. military knew. They knew Flight 93 was headed for Washington, D.C., toward the White House or the Capitol. They had minutes to act. And in that moment, they made an unthinkable decision: intercept, destroy, kill the 40 passengers to save thousands more. Believers point to the wreckage, or rather, the lack of it. Debris scattered across miles far from the impact site, a crater too small for a commercial jet, pieces of metal found in lakes and forests. To them, this looks less like a crash and more like an explosion in the sky. There were whispers too. Reports of military jets seen near the area, unconfirmed, unacknowledged, but never completely dismissed. So why the cover-up? The theory argues it was necessity. On a day when thousands had already died, could the government admit it had ordered the killing of its own citizens? That the military had shot down a passenger jet? No, the truth, if there was one, would have shattered the nation. And so a different story was told. One of courage, of resistance, of heroes who stormed the cockpit. A narrative to inspire, not terrify. The passengers of Flight 93 became symbols, but according to this theory, their true fate was decided not in the cabin, but in the skies above, by missiles fired in silence. The alien genesis. It's late at night in Washington, D.C. Behind closed doors, a classified briefing begins. A handful of officials gather around a table. A screen flickers on. Grainy footage of objects in the sky. UFOs, unexplained, undeniable. The public gets fragments, a leaked video, a declassified report, a strange testimony in Congress. Just enough to spark curiosity, but never enough to give the full truth. Because according to one of Reddit's most disturbing theories, the truth is far more devastating. They say the government is drip-feeding disclosure, slowly preparing us for the day we can no longer deny it. Aliens are real, not just visitors, not just watchers, but creators. The theory claims that thousands of years ago, they came here, not as invaders, but as architects. They found early humans, fragile, primitive, and they intervened, manipulated DNA, pushed evolution forward, created intelligence where there was none. These beings became gods to us. The miracles of the Bible, the myths of Greece and Rome, the legends carved in stone, all misunderstood encounters with advanced beings. The burning bush, the parting of the Red Sea, chariots of fire in the sky, not divine power but alien technology. If true, it means humanity isn't an accident. We are a product, engineered, guided, and possibly still monitored. And that's the real reason for secrecy. It's not fear of panic, it's fear of revelation. That religion, history, identity itself would collapse under the weight of this knowledge. So instead, the story is released in pieces. A sighting here, a whistleblower there, a slow drip of disclosure until the day arrives when the world is forced to accept it. In this theory, the question isn't if aliens are real, it's whether they've been our gods all along. The dark forest hypothesis. It's a clear night. The sky glitters with stars, millions of them, each one a sun, each one with the possibility of life. And yet silence. No messages, no signals, no evidence of anyone else out there. Scientists call it the Fermi paradox. If the universe is full of habitable worlds, why haven't we found anyone? According to one of Reddit's most chilling theories, the answer is terrifying. It's called the dark forest hypothesis. Imagine the universe as a vast, endless forest at night. Every civilization is a hunter, moving silently, weapon in hand. They can't see each other, but they know others must be out there. The only rule is survival. And in the dark forest, survival means silence. Because the moment you reveal yourself, light a fire, make a sound, call out, you give away your position. And in that instant, you risk being destroyed. Humanity, with its radio signals and probes, may have already lit the fire, broadcasting into the cosmos, shouting into the dark, not realizing the danger. Believers argue that this explains the silence. Aliens exist, many of them, but they stay quiet, hidden, waiting, because they know that out there, another civilization is listening, calculating, ready to strike first. And if this theory is true, then our search for extraterrestrial life isn't just curiosity. It's a gamble with extinction. Maybe we aren't alone. Maybe we're just the only ones foolish enough to speak. The dark forest waits, silent, watching, and the hunters are already there. The CIA as executioners. A journalist drives home late at night, her story unfinished. A story about corruption, about secrets buried deep inside Washington. She never makes it home. Her car veers off the road. Official cause, accident. But on Reddit, a darker explanation takes shape. They call it the execution list. Whistleblowers, activists, even ordinary citizens who stumble too close to dangerous truths. According to this theory, the CIA eliminates them, quietly, efficiently, while disguising the deaths as something else. A hanging, a drug overdose, a sudden heart attack. Each one tragic, each one explained away. And yet, to believers, the pattern is unmistakable. The CIA was created to defend the nation. But what if defense also means control? The theory argues that when information threatens the hidden agendas of the powerful, removal becomes necessary, not through trials or exposure, but through silence. And silence in this telling is permanent. Believers point to high-profile names, journalists who died on the eve of publishing explosive work, activists who collapsed suddenly, healthy one day, gone the next, politicians who crossed invisible lines. Too many coincidences, they argue. Too many ghosts left behind. The official record never hints at murder. There's no smoking gun, no classified memo that says eliminate. But that, of course, is the point. To the theory's followers, the CIA is not just an intelligence agency. It is judge, jury, and executioner. Protecting the nation, yes, but also protecting itself. And the cost? Innocent lives erased under the guise of tragedy. A crash, a suicide, a disease. Maybe nothing more than bad luck. Or maybe the quiet work of an executioner with no face and no name. The global social credit system. A man walks into a grocery store. He places food on the counter. The cashier scans it, but when he taps his phone to pay, denied. Not because of money, but because of score. This is the nightmare Redditors fear. In China, it already exists. A social credit system that tracks every action, pay your bills on time, obey the rules, praise the government, your score rises. Break the law, speak too loudly, criticize the wrong person, your score falls. And when it falls too low, doors close. You can't buy plane tickets. You can't book hotels. Sometimes you can't even leave your home. But according to this theory, China is only the beginning. Believers say the world is sleepwalking into the same system, hidden inside apps we already use. Points for loyalty, penalties for defiance. Every post, every purchase, every movement measured. You don't even notice it happening until one day you do. And then the rules change. Imagine waking up and finding your account frozen, your ID flagged, your score reset to 0. Not because of what you did, but because of what you said. A joke, a protest, a question asked at the wrong time. There's no appeal, no jury, just an algorithm deciding who you are and whether you deserve to exist in society. To Redditors, this is the ultimate control. Not chains, not prisons, but numbers. A single click and your life evaporates. Friends disappear, employers turn away. You become a ghost. It begins with convenience. It ends with captivity. And the scariest part, you won't even realize you're trapped until it's too late. Your phone is watching you. A woman laughs with her friend. They talk about needing new shoes. Hours later, she opens her phone. An ad appears. Shoes, the same style, the same brand. Too precise to be chance. Coincidence or surveillance? According to one of Reddit's most unsettling theories, your phone isn't just listening. It's watching, always. The microphone picks up your conversations. The camera scans your face, your home, your surroundings. Location services map your every move. Where you shop, who you visit, what time you sleep. All of it fed into invisible algorithms. Believers argue the proof is in the coincidences. Ads that appear seconds after you mention something aloud. Recommendations so personal they feel invasive. Apps that seem to know you better than your closest friends. But the theory goes further. It claims this isn't about selling products, it's about control. By studying your habits, your weaknesses, your desires, companies and governments can predict what you'll do next. And if they can predict it, they can influence it. Some point to stories of phones activating when turned off, batteries drained in the night, data mysteriously uploaded while you sleep. Each sign, they argue, is proof of constant surveillance. The scariest part isn't that your phone spies on you, it's that you agreed to it. Every app permission, every terms of service box ticked without reading. You open the door and now it can't be closed. You carry it everywhere. You keep it by your bed. You let it watch your children, track your voice, record your secrets. To you, it's a tool. To them, it's a window. And maybe, just maybe, you're the one on display. Hitler in Argentina. Berlin, 1945. The war is over. The bunker burns. Adolf Hitler, dead by his own hand. At least that's the story the world was told. But according to one of Reddit's most persistent theories, Hitler never died in Berlin. He escaped. The theory begins with whispers of U-boats leaving Germany in the final days of the war. Submarines headed south, across the Atlantic, carrying stolen gold, secret documents, and passengers. Among them, the Führer himself. Where did they go? Argentina. In the decades that followed, strange reports surfaced. Remote villages deep in the mountains, populated by German settlers. Entire towns where the language, the architecture, even the traditions felt frozen in time, like a piece of the Reich hidden far from Europe. Believers point to testimonies. Locals claiming to have seen Hitler, older, disguised, living quietly under another name. Files declassified years later showed that American intelligence investigated these rumors, seriously enough to send agents. Nothing was ever proven, but nothing was ever disproven either. And then there are the photographs, blurred, grainy images of a man with familiar features, same jawline, same mustache, decades after his supposed death. If true, it means history's greatest villain didn't die in a bunker. He lived on, a ghost in exile, perhaps into the 1960s, perhaps longer. So why hide it? According to believers, the truth would have shattered the post-war order. It was easier to close the book on Hitler than admit he had escaped justice. The official record insists he died in Berlin. But in this theory, the flames in the bunker were just theater. The real Hitler slipped away, trading the ruins of the Reich for the shadows of South America. The Denver Airport Cult. Denver, Colorado. Travelers rush through one of the largest airports in the United States. To most, it's just another stopover. But to Redditors, Denver International Airport isn't an airport at all. It's a warning. The theory begins with the art. Murals stretching across the walls, images of death, war, and apocalypse. Children in coffins, soldiers with gas masks, a figure wielding a sword under a rainbow of destruction. Too dark, too deliberate to be random. And then there's the horse, a massive blue Mustang with glowing red eyes. Locals call it Blucifer. The sculptor who built it was killed when a piece of the statue fell and severed an artery. To believers, that wasn't an accident, it was a curse. But the murals and statues are just the surface. The real fear lies underground. Construction of the airport went billions over budget. Miles of tunnels were dug, far more than a normal airport would need. Officially, they're for baggage systems. Unofficially, they're bunkers, hidden shelters for the elite, a command center for the New World Order when catastrophe strikes. Believers say the strange symbols scattered across the terminals are clues, Masonic marks, coded messages, maps to the underground. Even the runways, when viewed from above, resemble a swastika. To most travelers, Denver International is just a gateway to the Rockies. But to conspiracy theorists, it's a fortress, a cult headquarters, the place where the powerful will retreat when the world burns. And when you look at the murals again, the story they tell isn't about the past, it's about the future. In this theory, Denver's airport isn't just a transit hub, it's the doorway to the apocalypse. The moon is a machine. A full moon rises over the horizon. Soft light spills across the earth. For centuries, poets, scientists, and dreamers have looked up and wondered. To most, it is a rock, silent, dead, a natural satellite. But on Reddit, another idea grows. What if the moon isn't natural at all? Believers call it the hollow moon theory. They argue it was placed here deliberately, a machine, an observation post, a piece of technology disguised as stone. The evidence begins with Apollo. During seismic tests, astronauts planted explosives on the surface. The data shocked NASA. The moon rang like a bell, hollow, not solid. And then there is its orbit. The moon is the perfect size and distance to create eclipses, an astronomical coincidence so precise it feels designed. Too perfect, say believers, to be chance. What purpose would it serve? Surveillance, a cosmic outpost to monitor Earth. Some claim it was built by aliens, parked here eons ago to watch humanity grow. Others whisper it is older still, a relic of an ancient civilization that came before us. There are stranger details. Unexplained structures in NASA photos, shadows that don't align, craters too shallow for their size, as though armored plating lies beneath. And always the same face. The moon rotates, but we never see its far side, as if it were engineered to watch us while hiding what it truly is. If the theory is true, the night sky is not what it seems. The moon is not a symbol of romance or mystery. It is a machine, a presence, a reminder that we are not alone and perhaps never have been. The question isn't why it's there. The question is who put it there.